80% of the engineering graduates are unemployable, not because of their technical skills, but because of their communication skills. But these are smart people. They are the ones who get 98 percentile, 99 percentile. Morning, everybody. How are you all doing? My name is Varun Rawal, and I'm a communication and influence coach. Skills you're willing to lose, you can automate with AI. Are you willing to lose your writing ability? Are you willing to lose your speaking ability? Because if you lose that,
I'm surprised by the communication level of people looking for a job, people looking to work.
in India, communication is equal to English.
How do you fluctuate tones when you're in professional settings?
If I speak in monotone, you will get bored. You will get zoned out completely.
I think it's really hard to build self-confidence.
Confidence, and now I can achieve everything. It doesn't drop from anywhere. You have to build it. Important point here is that confidence comes after. People with really amazing technical skills stay quiet. Why? They don't want the right answer. They want to know, how did you get to that answer? They want to know how you think. Communication is the response you get. You applying for that job, not getting that job. You are not getting your next promotion. That is feedback. The point is, what are those skills that are very personal to you that people can't copy?
Hello everyone, welcome to the Inner Scorecard podcast. This is your host, Nikhil Kapahi. Today we have a very special topic and a very special guest. Today we have Varun Rawal. He's an expert communications coach. We talk about why people across the world, and especially in India, struggle with articulating their thoughts and communicating with the leadership in workplace settings and even in personal settings. We talk about what happens when you over-index on your technical skills, but are not even able to speak one sentence clearly for the other person to understand. This conversation will help it break down for you that how do you get your message across to the other person. That could be your manager, your boss, your girlfriend, your parents. So watch this conversation and I hope you truly gain insights from it. Thank you so much. Now on to today's episode. I think you are somebody who's taught communication, who's taught personality development to hundreds and thousands of people. Help me understand, what does communication entail? Like, most people think communication just means the content I'm saying or the words I'm saying or kind of the vocabulary I'm saying. But what all does communication entail?
I'll tell you how it's looked at in India first. Is that all right? Because communication in India is still, for a lot of people, communication is equal to English. And you have grown up here.
Right.
And you know exactly what I'm talking about. For a lot of people, and a lot of people come to me and they say, help me improve my English because I want to be a better communicator. Now you ask me, what according to you is communication? I will divide it into two simple parts. Very easy. Verbal and non-verbal. Verbal is whatever you speak. That's exactly what you said, that it's content, it's vocabulary. We're not going there right now. We can go there. We can talk about it in a moment. But let's talk about what a lot of people do not look at communication as, which is non-verbal, which is your body language, which is the way you move, the way you dress, the way people form impressions about you in the first 7 to 30 seconds. And there's a famous saying, first impressions are last impressions. I always ask this question to my students. What do you think? First impressions are fill in the blanks, dash impressions. And they all say last impressions. And then some of them say best impressions. And then I remind them of something that I was taught very early on in hospitality industry, that first impressions are lasting impressions. They go a long way. And we cannot help but form those impressions in the first few seconds. And what do we look at in those first few seconds? The person hasn't even spoken. So when you came onto this call, you looked at, oh, okay, his hair is fine. He's wearing a clean white shirt, not too shabby. And if I had joined the same call with not shaved, not wearing a proper watch, shabby clothes, you would think something. You probably won't say it, but you would think, right? And there's a word, it's called suggestology, which says, or rather, which means everything suggests something.
Right. Everything is data, right?
Everything suggests something. People look at you and they form opinions and they ask each other, or rather, they ask themselves these questions. Can I trust this person?
right.
Does this person look confident? Is this person going to be, can he or she help me? Just even without you speaking, imagine.
Right.
Everything is data.
And it's really interesting. I think it also goes back to how humans have evolved, right? Like I think physically we are very similar to other animals. But when it comes to mental and social connections, this is where we really are at the apex game, because these nuances, and this is why we have formed even a society, is like, can this person help me in terms of danger? Or what does this person want of me? Right? What do they want to cause harm or neutral? Or is it like something good?
Exactly.
And yeah, that's
And this is without even interacting with them, just with the way they perceive you. That's it. Just the way you look,
yeah.
just the way you walk, the way you talk. A lot of people, to add to what you just said, going back to cavemen, right? I read it in a book called Cues, and it talks about how people associate trust with hand gestures. So if I can't see your hands, it'll be a little difficult for me to trust you. Yes, we associate eye contact with a lot of trust because Instagram says it all. Eye contact, smile. But what we need to also understand is hand gestures are very important. In a lot of meetings, corporate meetings, professionals in the boardrooms, their hands are under the table, on your knees, and you're shaking. And people want to see your hands. So keep them where people can see you. Why? You were talking about early man. If he or she poses danger. So say, for example, you're living in a cave and someone from an opposite tribe approaches. What will you look at first? Their hands. Are they carrying a weapon? Are they
Right.
carrying food? Am I supposed to protect myself or and my family? Or am I supposed to welcome them?
Right.
And they have not even said a word.
Right.
And we're still wired like that.
Absolutely. And you'd be surprised. Like, I have a 1-year-old baby that is so cognizant of these things. How does the first impression of, like, if I have a friend coming in who's tall, like Americans are like, 6'3", 6'4"
Yeah.
normal. And if they tower over her and they're being super nice, they're really friendly, their voice tone is like, high pitched, and they're having a smile. But if they tower over her, it's danger for her.
Yeah.
But she loves, and the men are really terrible at understanding babies. But if you see any women, even if she's tall, and the way they would approach is like they would crouch and they would go smaller, because they would become. And the same with dogs. You can't, like, have that impression. Even if you're being very friendly and you're having a cookie in your hand, if you're towering over them, so those things make a difference. And I think this is where most people don't understand that communication is so much more.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
now, coming back to Indian, I think this is really important, which is, as I get older and as I get further away from India in a way, because it's been 8 years I've left, I'm surprised by the communication level of people looking for a job, people looking to work. For example, I would post something that I'm looking to hire somebody, and people, like 50%, 60% of people would just say hi.
Yeah.
And I and really and that bothers me to the point that of course I don't want to spend time explaining to them, but that bothers me to think that what are they expecting, like what is their. And this is where I think, which comes back to communication is so much like, is there's an integral part of communication is what the other person is thinking about this communication, like how are they perceiving what you're saying. And this is,
Absolutely.
and I think maybe you call it empathy or like EQ. Those things are completely lacking, because what do you expect when somebody just says hi to you?
Yeah.
And you're.
So here's the thing. And there's a definition which I generally give to people, and I ask them a basic question. What is communication? And they say exchange of information, where two people are everything is that is written on Google, essentially. And this is what we learned growing up. To which I say just one statement. Communication is the response you get. I will repeat it. Communication is the response you get, or effective communication is the response you get. You meet so many people on a daily basis. Probably you and I do this sometimes, where we are trying to talk to someone, we're trying to get something out of someone, and then we say, they just don't get it. Ah, man, I've tried explaining this person so much and they just don't get it. I'm done. We all have been there. But then that's the time to step back and go back to this definition of communication, is that effective communication or good communication is the response you get. So if you are not getting the desired response, maybe you need to take a step back and tailor the way you communicated in first place. What did you say? Were you able to share a win-win with a person? Why should I be interested in listening to you? What's in it for me? Got it.
Yeah.
So that's essentially what a lot of people miss. And this is also, I'm going to add to this. There are two types of communications: listener-centric and seeker-centric.
Mhm.
So seeker-centric, what is speaker-centric? It's in the definition, or rather in the word. Seeker-centric. If I am the seeker, I am centering my communication to what I know. And tell me if you have people around you in your life who talk in a way that they understand, but then everybody else does not. They use jargon, they use complicated words, terminologies, which only they understand.
Right.
Hi, to your job posting, people say hi. Now that's also speaker centric. They think just by me saying hi, my job is done.
Right.
He will respond. He will probably
Right.
think that I'm interested. But listener centricity is when you are talking to someone, taking into consideration what they want. Why are they here for? What are they here for? So you need to break down the information as per your audience, as per your listener, as per your readers.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I think there are a few things we could go about it, right? There is that English just as a language, if you have command over it. Then there's the self-confidence piece. And then there's that EQ piece, like, trying to figure out like what the person is asking and how you're replying, and you want to influence them. So you can't just be thinking about yourself because you want to influence the other person. And there's some interesting statistics I was coming across while researching for this. There's some research that shows that 80% of engineering graduates today are unemployable, and it's not for the technical deficiencies, it's for the weak communication. Columbia Business School has identified that there's a deference syndrome in Indian professional culture that prevents people from speaking up. And this is kind of not, they're saying it's not a language rooted problem, but rather a cultural conditioning where people grow up in hierarchies and the whole education is exam centric. And there was an Indian.
Heartbreaking, no? But I'll let you finish it because I've got something that I was talking about this morning. I'll let you finish and then I'm going to talk about exactly the topic that you are discussing right now.
Yeah,
Fine.
and there were a few other things that, for example, there was a Indian skills report in 2025 that reinforces that 54 or 55% of graduates meet employability standards at industry level. So basically, there was another report which kind of showed that only like more than half of them are not even eligible by the industry levels we have, because communication is the main barrier. And they kind of narrowed it down to like growing up, basically students are made to memorize content but never practice articulating ideas, defending arguments, or engaging in structured dialogue. This kind of creates a generation that can pass exams but cannot communicate effectively in professional settings or personal settings. And this is something I want to talk to later as well, is like kind of the between professional and personal, like communication is almost everything that you do. But these stats were really staggering, and I think they are even understated because like they don't probably include data from like tier 3 villages and tier 3 cities and villages. This is like main cities, and I have seen that firsthand, wherein I'm like, I'm giving you a job, I'm happy to pay you, why don't you want to take it? Like, is this to me bizarre? and they just don't have, they're interested, but they just don't know how to proceed.
How to take the conversation ahead,
Yeah.
right? And interesting and equally heartbreaking what you said about the data, the stats. 50% or 80% of the engineering graduates are unemployable, not because of their technical skills, but because of their communication skills. But these are smart people, right? These are, I mean, they are the ones who get what, 98 percentile, 99 percentile, and then it's the education system, as you rightly pointed out. In India, what what are we rewarded for in school? Getting the highest marks. And then, after grade 10, there is an evaluation where if you get a certain percentile, then you can choose subjects. So science or commerce or arts or whatever. Now, we have been conditioned to understand that we have to work hard and be right. That's it.
Right.
And that prevents exploratory thinking and talking. So all our lives, what we have done is, at least in India, most of us mug up things.
Right.
Like I was talking to my batch today, and we were talking about this, that growing up, my mom used to teach me, and you know how Indian parents teach, at least our generation or my generation. She used to slap me if I would forget an answer. Now, the only way to avoid that, and also in school, the only way to get good marks is write word to word. Now, if I need to write word to word, I also need to memorize word to word, but I'm not trying to understand the concept. So I am rehearsing each and everything. And in between, for example, there is, say, for example, my mom is asking me a question and I'm telling her the answer. Say, what is a semiconductor? And I'm saying, so a semiconductor is na 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 na. That's what a semiconductor. Now, in between, say, for example, my sister comes in while I'm narrating the response. Now, my chain of thought is completely destroyed. I cannot pick it up from where I stopped. I have to go back again. And that's a lot of professionals today as well.
Right.
So we have worked hard. We know the answers, but we do not know why. That's the reason why in meetings, in boardrooms, in group discussions, in panel discussion, we struggle. A lot of us struggle.
No, it's just, I think what you were saying kind of remind me of like how we memorize songs, right? Like you remember the lyrics, and if you miss the melody, then you need to go back to the starting. And at the same time, I remember that people don't really understand what they have written. They can sing it. They can sing it perfectly note for note, but they don't really understand the meaning of those words. A lot of the words are so deep. And I would, at 30, I would realize, I'm like, wow, that song that I used to hear as a kid, this is what it meant. This is crazy. Right? Some of them would have a very deep meaning. Some of them would be super shallow. There'd be like, there'd be sectional innuendos in there. And like, wow. Like, I never thought of these things. I just memorized. And I feel that in my case, the only way I would have arguments is with my friends when we were talking about something very passionate, like something like football or something like we talk about rap music or rock music, and we would argue because we had sentiments. And I think if everybody around you has the same interest, then you're not really, I think there's less argument, there's less articulation, less thinking. And that's really, really, I think, an important, I think, in professional settings. How does communication take into play in Indian professionals? I think one thing I have seen myself is people tend to, it's very hierarchical, and people don't tend to step up, give newer ideas, even when there's plus sides. They would not they would not want to interact. They would be in the same corners, in the same group of people, like their peers that they chit chat with, or they bitch about the boss, or just like gossiping. They'd be in the same little group, and then when the boss would come up, everybody would swarm in, but they would be like just just, it's very hierarchical. It's like very strange. Like probably like we would see that in armies, that kind of behavior. So totally, what you seen, and what have you seen in people who are professional and they're lack of communication and like just general consensus of yours in Indian
Yeah.
population?
So a lot of people come in, and it's a trend, not across everybody, but majority, that Varun, I can speak to people who are junior to me, but I cannot speak to someone who's senior. I find it very difficult to speak to my CEO or my COO or my vice president or whatever, because they're not really looking at the person, they're looking at the position. And in India, again, I will go back to the education system, I will go back to conditioning, is that we grew up respecting authority to another level, to an extent that we stopped questioning authority because we were told that elders are always right. If
Right.
someone is more experienced than you, then they are right. And a lot of people may not agree with, but this is ingrained in our subconscious to a great level. To a great extent, it's still there, and whatever we do and whatever we not say, whatever we don't say, it's all because of that. Because in front of a senior or an authority, I will only speak up if I think I am right. Otherwise, I will be judged. Otherwise, I will not get my next promotion. Otherwise, they will think I don't know. So authority has this fear.
Right.
That's the reason why you said the moment boss comes in, everybody just like stops talking. They don't interact with them because they don't. It's very difficult for a lot of people to think of their seniors and bosses as equals. And that's
Right.
different in the West.
Right.
And so in India, a lot of people also talk to me. A lot of my students, they also say these things that, and it's heartbreaking, because I understand where they're coming from. A lot of them are not well traveled. They've studied here. So have I. But I have also had the privilege to travel and work with international organizations. So my perspective started changing. It started shifting. But for a lot of people in India, they haven't had that opportunity.
Right.
And what happens is that, yes, within the country, within their offices, authority is respected. Authority is someone who's just right there. We put them on pedestal. Even when they are wrong, we don't question them. Even when we are overworked, we don't speak up.
Right.
Because authority has to be right. We can't question authority. That's what we've been taught. Now, another case here is a lot of people who work with me, they say that I'm okay to talk to my Indian counterparts. But the moment I have to speak to an American stakeholder or a European stakeholder, I see it very weird. And it's the language. But it's not just the language, it's also the confidence. For some reason, a lot of people put non-Indians on a pedestal. Internally, they will not probably say it out loud, but I don't know why that happens. But this is across. I heard it from many people. And there are a few examples where some of my students have this struggle, have this question that, Varun, I find it very difficult to understand their accent. And
And
I
they
asked them a
must be
question.
right. Right. I think that's the thinking, is that the accent is the right accent. I'm the one who's having wrong accent.
Exactly. So their accent is something that is there, mine is here. And that creates insecurity. And this person who was asking me a few weeks ago the same question, that if I speak to an foreign client, a Western person or a Caucasian, and they say something that I don't understand, I just say, okay. And I cross-question. I asked him, what do you mean? If you don't understand, what do you say? If you don't understand the accent, what do you say? And he said, nothing. I said, why? And he says, because I was too shy to tell him or tell them that I don't understand your accent.
Yeah.
I asked him a very simple question. I said, let's reverse the roles. Because a lot of people who are not from India, they find it difficult to understand our accent at times. Because sometimes we speak really fast. Or sometimes we roll our R's and T's and a lot. So they say, excuse me, can you speak a little slow? I don't get it. I don't quite get it. They say it. So I asked them, when they don't understand, do they stop you and request you to speak or repeat again? Or repeat or just speak slower. And he says, yes, they do that. I said, if they can do that, then why can't you?
Yeah.
But that's the thing. It's conditioning.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's also a glamorized culture, right? Like outside is everything's good, they have money. And
Absolutely.
I think something that is also very different about and I don't want to go too much deeper into the Indian culture. I think we are very well aware. I think it's just the social ranking comes really quickly. Like when I'm walking in the streets of Seattle, an uncle would come up to me. Like if I have any kind of interaction with an uncle, I've had that experience. Kind of the second or third question of theirs would be, "Do you have a green card?" Or like, "How are you here?" And it's not, and I don't feel bad about it. I start laughing actually when I start getting this question because I see they're trying to, in some way, rank me. Where am I in the
Not true.
ladder? And that is like and I find it really funny when people try to gauge me like that. Like, for example, how much salary do you earn? Are you a senior? Are you a manager? What car do you drive? And how many followers do you have? I was talking to my friend just recently and I was like, that is a very big turnoff for me.
Yeah.
And I think my instant defensive reaction is, why do you want to know?
Yeah.
Like, if somebody asks me what car I drive, I would, all my friends and family, they know what car I drive. But if anybody asks somebody, I'm like, why do you want to know? Like, you're trying to rank me? And I'll give you things to rank. So I'll give them like a googly thing, like, I'll try to trouble them with these things. And like, I would try to, and it's really interesting where in India, and I am part of it, like, I try to do it and I try to not do it. And I think something I've learned being outside is like not to stack rank people, not to socialize because they have such a big breadth of things they could do. Like a person earning $1 million could be having a very bad communication, and a person having very bad communication could still have like millions of YouTube followers.
Yeah.
Who are you?
It comes down to confidence as well. And there's so many things. And one thing I want to add on, and tell me if you have also faced this. I personally dislike it when that happens to me because then I live in India. I am building here. And I'm very proud of the fact that I'm working with so many Indians to help them get better at their communication skills, because this is that one thing that I believe a lot of people in our country can help, get help in, get help with, and get better at. Now, everybody, and I see the narrative is changing. People are, I still need to push it a lot more, but it's my mission. I am at it. Now, I was in London last month. I was there for a month. You and I were talking. And I got this question from British people and Indian people who live there and who've been living there for a long time. But a lot of non-British and non-British people as well. Uh, you speak so well. And I was sitting at a Vietnamese restaurant, right? And then I said, what's your name? I said, Varun. And where are you from? I said, where do you think I'm from? They said, well, here, Italy. I said, why? I'm from India. Oh, India. But you speak so good English.
Yeah.
Do you see the stereotype?
Yeah. A lot.
That's the problem. And I'm sure you get it too, because that's how India is perceived. And there is nothing wrong with us not knowing the language.
Right.
The point, or rather being comfortable in our local languages, the point is we are somewhere in between. That if you go to Italy, if an Italian meets another Italian in New York, they will speak in Italian.
Right.
But more often than not, when an Indian meets another Indian in New York, they will speak in English.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's, I think, again, the same thing that English is considered not just a language, it's considered status. It's a status thing. So if I'm meeting you outside, and this is one of the reasons why I was thinking about the podcast as well. Do I want it in English or do I want it in Hindi? And I think English is just way more global. And I see that I do that too. Like, there's an Indian who lives down the street and we mostly talk in English. And Yes, I have to, and especially living outside, I have to switch my brain when I'm visiting India or when I'm talking to friends. Okay, no, you should talk in Hindi. And for example, with my kid, I speak in Hindi. I don't speak with her in English.
Amazing.
They will pick up. I'm British. My wife and I can talk only in English. She speaks Czech, so the English I know will come as a default to her, but Hindi is something I need to educate her on. And I think it's just a status thing, and there's other side as well, right? You've seen that probably happen much more recently, is like boycotting English and just being this stubborn person that why is Hindi bad, and they go on this very tangential arguments why you should not be even speaking English in India.
Yeah.
And I think this is where people, they need to find that balance of what English really is. And
I mean,
surprisingly,
Hindi is amazing. I'll tell you what, I've started speaking more in Hindi now, and I've started creating a lot of Hindi English content. And since I started doing that, my reach has gone bigger because a lot of people in India like to listen to
yeah,
content in Hindi. Even my recent podcast that I was part of, it was mostly in Hindi. So we are getting there. And I would love for India to be at a place where we can be absolutely proud and say, this is the language. But we are not there yet. And I don't see that happening anytime soon because
right,
English is the business language.
right,
And by the time it become, and I don't know if it will ever happen. So people need to get better at this language. People need to get better at English. People can also be better at Hindi, but understand the nuances of communication skills. Now, you cannot go to a multinational company and say, I will only speak in Hindi. They will not hire you.
right. Yeah, and as we said, I think communication is a lot more than just the content, just the words that come out, and they could be any language. But that's something that you would learn while traveling. Is like I can hang around with people who speak just Japanese and Italian. They don't even speak English. Of course, they don't speak Hindi, and I have a great time. Like I've spent countless days with people who don't speak my language, and we've
Yes.
managed, and it's been fun. And talk to me about some of the strategies that you're focusing on. And I think coming towards more on the solution side, I think it's really hard to build self-confidence.
Eh,
I think it's really hard to change somebody's body language. um how do you go about those things?
Right. I'll start by talking about confidence and misconceptions around confidence. Now, a lot of people come to me and they say, I want to become more confident. And the mindset is that we will just become confident by attending sessions. But it doesn't happen in my sessions that people first become confident and then they start seeking great or they get better with their communication skills. Never. It's the other way around. I teach them strategies, I make them practice, I make them record lots of videos. They start seeing themselves in a different light. They start building a lot of self trust. Hey, I can do it. So, first, the skills develop and then confidence comes in. Important point here is that confidence comes after. Confidence never comes before doing the job. And that's the misconception that is keeping a lot of people stuck. And the narrative is you have started a podcast. A lot of people want to start podcasts, right, Nikhil? You know people, I know people, and a lot of people want to start businesses. A lot of people, my friends, they want to start content creation. And then I ask them, why don't you start? And the first response is, I don't feel very confident right now. I need to work on my skill set a little more. So they think that once they become confident, that's when they will start the podcast. And ऐसे नहीं होता है. It doesn't work like that. You started a podcast, episode by episode, setup by setup. First, it was probably MacBook camera or maybe, I don't know, whatever camera.
Mm.
Then you learned the tricks. So you got better with time. And after recording 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 episodes, now you are more confident. So confidence is felt physically first and then it
Right.
becomes mental.
Right. It's
It'll,
an
it'll
outcome,
only
right?
come.
It's confidence is an output. It's not like an input in the sense that you acquire confidence in an isolated setting and then you just apply it everywhere. And
confidence, and now I can achieve everything. It doesn't drop from anywhere. You have to build it. Your body needs evidence.
And I think this is again coming back to also just the cultural understanding of it's very bad in India to be wrong. It's considered like it's looked
Yeah.
down upon, and asking questions, not being confident is seen something as terrible. And the hard part about that is then you never get started, because if you want to pick up a sport, if you want to date somebody new, if you want to go to a new country, start a new job, you will be a newbie. You will be a rookie,
Yeah.
100%. But the idea is, if you've not done those iterations of going from rookie to mastery previously, it will just take you longer and longer. And as you get older, it's just harder and harder to implement those things. Whereas
Absolutely.
early on, if you failed at sports, if you've not cut for the team, you got terrible marks, then you got good marks. Those early wins and early transitions from rookie to mastery, they kind of, okay, I got this. Like, how terrible can it be? Like, remember that time? Like, I have played tournaments with torn shorts, for example, when I was 8 year old. And I had to play the tournament and I had only one pair of shorts and it was torn. And I had to hold it with one hand while playing table tennis. That was super embarrassing. But
Yeah.
after that, I felt like, okay, if I don't think anything can top that, and then something else would happen. And basically, just understanding that that is where confidence comes from. Confidence is not that I can do this with mastery. Confidence is I know I can get there with enough time and effort. And this is the other thing that you were saying. If we put people on pedestal, every person that I put on my pedestal is somebody I would hit up and want to talk.
Yeah.
And that's the complete opposite of like you're at a pedestal. Oh, Varun is doing so well. How could I even ever have a communication with him? Or I could. That's just the complete opposite way of looking up to people. When you
Yeah.
look up to people, you try to understand and get as close as possible to understand how they do these things.
Yeah.
And without you ever communicating, then you're just distancing yourself. And you're saying,
Exactly.
oh, this person's got sorted out. Let me not bother them, because what would I say to them?
Exactly.
I think that's where compliments and humor in India is also very fascinating.
It's an exchange. Always it's an exchange. And then, yeah, complimenting is a problem. People don't take compliments well. People don't give compliments. And again, I will go back to what you said. Being right is awarded so much, and being wrong is considered that I'm a failure for a lot of people. We don't want to be wrong. That's the reason, going back into our discussion on corporates, is that in a meeting room, a lot of techies, a lot of people who have just leave techies, everybody I'm talking about, people with really amazing technical skills, stay quiet. Why? Because they are waiting for that opportunity that when I think I'm right, only then I will speak. When I know that I have the right, perfect response, only then I will raise my hand and talk to my boss, talk to my superiors. Whereas if you see, exploratory thinking is what is awarded better. Leaders talk in an exploratory sense, wherein, hey, you know what, guys, I'm thinking like this. Let me involve you in my thinking. I'm thinking out loud right now. We need to get to that as well, because even in for consultants, if you're going for an interview for a big consulting firm, they don't want the right answer. They want to know, how did you get to that answer? They want to know how you think.
Right.
And that needs to change with a lot of professionals, because a lot of people who are super smart with their technical skills, they are smart. That's already a fact. Now, let people inside your brain and tell them how you think. It's okay, fumble. You have to, it's okay to be bad at something and then later master it. But we have to be okay to be classified as, that did not go well. It's fine.
Right. Right. No, perfectly said. And what do you think is the importance of hard conversations in professional and personal settings? And before we get to that, I think some of the things that I wanted to say on your Instagram, some things I picked up, is kind of this technique of putting your pen in the mouth and trying to talk like that.
Yeah. So,
And it's incredible. Like I feel that this, and I was trying to, one of my friends, he's a musician, and we were trying to take a singing class together online. And some of the activities we had to do for singing just to warm up, it was so powerful that I started doing it just for big interviews and big conversations. I would do that before, and I could notice the difference.
Yeah.
And it's like you're warming up. Like if you want to run fast, or if you want to do a gym session, or if you want to play a sport, you better get your body warm before the tournament hits or before the important day comes. Because if you're not used to warming up, then you're just like, you're prone to injuries. And it's very similar in language. And I think the hard part about communication is we have this big thing between these four walls, which always is percepting how we're talking. We don't hear our own voice properly because we hear it through bone conduction. So we don't get that feedback unless you record. And that's the first time. If you don't know what terrible voice you have, just go record yourself and you'll see how terrible it sounds. Is this because
Most people hate their voice. Most people hate their voice.
Exactly.
In fact, that includes me as well. When I started and I look at my video, this is many years ago, I would look at my video like, that was cringe. And then I worked on my voice because this is an instrument that you can train. Singers do it. And a lot of people have untrained voice. That's the reason why when they record themselves for the first time, that is when someone pushes them to do it. And I push my students to do it in my community because that's the only way to learn and get better. When they see it and when they hear it, they realize, is this how I sound? You need to work on the voice. And there are basic tricks, warm-up tricks, like this is just one. And you're over articulating your jaw. So I try to give this example. Why does this work? Because a lot of people ask me, why does this work? It works. Everybody knows it. And you need to practice this every single day. I still do it. But why does it work? And there's a very simple reasoning to that. If you go to the gym, you hold a 20 kg dumbbell in your hand, and then you do 10 repetitions from that. It's heavy. If you can do it, great. And then immediately I take away the dumbbell from you, and I put a 2 kg dumbbell in your hand. It'll be effortless, right? Like it's like nothing. Exactly this. This takes a lot of effort.
Right.
And you're over articulation wise, you're overcompensating and your jaw muscles are getting tired. The moment you remove it, everything flows out in a very effortless way and sounds better. Right? This is just one of the things that a lot of people, if they start doing this, they can get better with a lot of the way they communicate, the way with their clarity.
Right.
Another thing I will tell you is a lot of people, techies, non-techies, professionals, non-professionals, we've forgotten melody in our voice. We all speak in a monotone.
Yeah.
It's straight line. And growing up, you did your studies in India, yeah?
Yeah.
So growing up, when we were very young, and the teachers would tell us, forget about that. You have a daughter?
Yeah.
Oh, what's her name?
Zora. Yeah.
Zora. And how old is Zora?
She's 15 months now. Yeah.
She's 15 months. And I'm sure you as parents read stories to Zora.
Yeah.
And when you read stories to Zora, how do you read stories to Zora? Like, you're reading a research paper? No, right? Like, Zora, once upon a time, there was a lion. Like that. We have forgotten to do that. And we speak in a very robotic way. There is no melody. There is no, it's straight line. It's monotone.
Yeah.
And if you notice, that doesn't create. Yeah. A lot of people, if I speak in monotone, you will get bored because I am not able to engage you. I am not pausing my volume, my pitch, my tone. There is no variation. You will get bored. You will get zoned out completely.
Can you give an example of how this works in professional settings? Because I feel that I can associate that to more creative ways of engaging, maybe content creation that applies to. But in professional settings, how does the tone, like how do you fluctuate tones when you're in professional settings? Because
very well.
Yeah. Do
I
you
mean,
have an example?
it's a meeting. It's like, for example, I'm addressing an audience. I didn't go and say, "Good morning, everybody. My name is Varun Rawal, and I'm a communication and influence coach. And today we're going to learn 5 concepts in which you can become a great communicator." Or, "Morning, everybody. How are you all doing? My name is Varun Rawal, and I'm a communication and influence coach. And today we're going to be talking about five techniques that are going to make you the best communicator."
Right.
I mean, you can do this in
Yeah.
boardrooms. You are not overcompensating. Some people will say you're probably, some people will in fact think, is it too much?
Yeah.
Is it? And I look at Vin a lot, Vin Jian. So he's right there, and I follow his work a lot. And one thing I really like that he says is that when people understand and learn something new with regards to communication skills, they think, do I look fake when I speak in that volume, that tone? And because that's not me. But you're not fake. You're this is just you not being familiar. You know your voice can do this. You know you can do this. You even see actors, content creators doing it, and you engage with that content. You can do it. It's not fake. It's just unfamiliar.
It's just you've not tested out the range that you have. It's just like, even in acting, right? Like, I don't feel I can act. I don't like, same with dancing, right? You can do those things. You can visualize it, but it's just so hard because you move each body like this and you cannot move. And it's the same with singing. And I feel I totally understand. I think this is how you can engage people. I think there are different ways to engage. Some people actually talk in very monotone, but the way they give up examples or the way they, cross interact. So there are ways that you can add to your arsenal. And this is definitely a big one that you can, like I remember sleeping in classrooms where the teacher would be just going on and on reading from a book. It's like a tape recorded thing.
Yeah.
And where's the element in that? Um, how
The
applicable
technique is
is
very the technique is very simple. Let me quickly, sorry to cut
yeah,
you there, because I wanted to also talk to you about the technique. Because yes, this will help with clarity, but what can help you with your tone? Now, I personally have been doing it for many, many years, and the solution is very simple. Uh, Let me see. I'm reading, okay, I'm reading KP Singh right now. This is the founder of DLF. Amazing book. You should definitely consider whenever. Generally, we read like this. So we read in our minds, right? We sit with a book and we read. What I tell my students is to read at least few pages, 2 to 3 pages out loud. But when you read, you overemphasize. And then I give them an example of a radio jockey. How do radio jockeys talk? They do not have their videos. They have to convince the audience and keep them entertained and hooked using just their voice.
right.
So if they are sad, if they're excited, you only have their voice to feel that.
Right.
Good morning, Daddy. How are you all doing? They will not say, "Good morning, everybody. How are you all doing?" They don't talk like that
Right.
because they know audience will check out. They will tune to the next station.
And
So the
you're right.
technique,
Even the voiceover actors, like like if you watch Jack Black and stuff doing Kung Fu Panda, they're standing up
it's
because
the
you can't. It's the whole, and they're using a 3D environment just for their voice, which considered like if you think about voice, is just one dimensional, right? But they're using all the energy because they want it to be expressive.
yeah. And they're
Interesting.
acting. They're an actor. So what does an actor do? They will help you feel the same emotions that they are feeling. And I only have my voice. But what you don't see is that I'm also moving my body. I don't ask my students to go to that extent. I ask them to do this very basic activity. So now I read like this in my head. Now I say, what's the next level? The next step is to read out loud. In 1964, Wad, now retired from army, was living in a house on stud farm. He was happiest and surrounded by horses. Level 2. Level 3, what I want you to speak at is, in 1964, Wad, now retired from the army, was living in a house on the stud farm. And he was the happiest when surrounded by horses. See, there's a difference. I am over overcompensating.
Right.
I'm overemphasizing. I'm also feeling the emotion. I'm immersed in that paragraph. And my voice shows that.
Right.
I mean, I can do it at a much more animated level, and I tell
Yeah.
my students to do it.
Yeah. And that's really interesting. I think it's also what you said is the engagement part. Like, this is where communication also goes away. That imagine if I'm talking to you and there's something happening here. Like my mom's in the kitchen and my wife is here and the kid is doing there. That is like, I'm not focused. And this is like pretty prevalent now, and especially with COVID, where people would have Zoom meetings. The phone would be on the kitchen counter and it's going on, and you're making tea and you're adding water. You're not focused. And that shows up, and people think that, oh, I'll just go on unmute and talk. People can tell. And I think this is where, and it's very interesting that it's not that people can pinpoint it. Oh, you were in the kitchen and that's why you're talking. People can just, their classifiers are very basic. They just can tell if you're listening, interested, or not. They can't exactly say what you were doing. So I think this is where we are very, very smart. And this is with social media that you get very solid feedback. Is people can tell if you're reading off a screen or if you've thought this through. And they won't say that to you. You just won't get the engagement. So the output is very raw, very crude. Like, is it good or bad?
And that's the feedback you're getting on a daily basis.
Right.
Because every single day, so when people come into my workshops, mandate cameras are on. I cannot teach you if your camera is off. A lot of people actually leave. And I tell them, okay, fine. But I will not let you be in my classroom if your camera is off. I can't see you.
Right.
And when their camera is on, I'm able to give them feedback on the way they are dressed, on the way their hairstyle is. Some people are like,
Yeah.
suggestology. If you sit like this, what am I looking at? What am I imagining? Oh, this person has probably not slept or they're very tired, but they are not giving me their energy.
Right.
Everything suggests something. And in my sessions, I put a lot of people, most of them in breakout rooms. I give them feedback. Their fellow colleagues give them feedback. So that's one way to improve. But now, since you spoke about feedback, every single day you are getting feedback. Us as some people who do this for a living, my feedback is right in front of me, my audience. If they are zoned out, that's my feedback. If I'm not getting much engagement on my content, that's feedback.
Yeah.
But people who are not doing this work, they also get feedback. What is that feedback? You applying for that job, not getting that job. That is feedback. You asking your team members to do something, but they are not doing a great job. So you as a leader have probably not communicated that well. That's your feedback. You are not getting your next promotion because the way you spoke and the way you have performed the entire cycle, not just your technical skills, but the way you communicate with your stakeholders, with your team members. That is your feedback. So all of us, we get feedback on a daily basis when it comes to our communication skills. The point is, are you noticing that this is happening because of your communication skills? Because a lot of people are like, oh, I did not get promoted. Let me take this new AI course. Let me get another Harvard online certification. And they think with when they do all this, they'll start getting promotions, they start getting better money. But what they don't realize is that you've already attained a decent level of technical skills. You work with Amazon, you've been doing it for a while. There's only so much you can now learn technically. All you need to now do is how to relay that information to people, how to delegate better, how to
Right.
influence people, how to persuade people.
What do you think is the importance of communication in the age of AI now? Because I think there's one side where people feel that writing essays, writing articles, and I think in near future, even speech would be automated. I could have a model speak like me. You can tune in the confidence, or you can write using Chat GPT like 2 years ago. What's How do you feel the communication is changing? Because for some people, like for I can speak for techies, that's the first thing they want to automate is writing emails, responding to boss's escalation is that, okay, let me just do it using AI. And I think that abstracts away even more, like that creates even more gap between the feedback and the improvements that you can do if you're using an AI for it. And in your experience, I think you are somebody who's doing a lot of content and you have to be on top of AI. How are you looking at this? Is that,
Right.
yeah, talk to me about some of your workflows. Like, how are you coming across it?
Well, see, my work is very simple. My work involves me going live and training people. AI, when it comes to my work, is only at the back end, which is data, which is automation. Interestingly, I read something this morning and that stayed with me. It was on Instagram. And of course, there's so much content out there. Try to filter out things and try to stick to whatever is helpful for me. And I read this morning. It said, skills you're willing to lose, you can automate with AI. And it was in response to someone who was talking about is writing or writing an email or creative writing, and even speaking for that matter, can I outsource this stuff to AI? And the person responded saying that if you're willing to lose it, and if you're okay losing that skill, automate. And the question I ask, and I would start asking people is that, are you willing to lose your writing ability? Are you willing to lose your speaking ability? Because if you lose that, then what is it that can become your unfair advantage? Because now, whatever we have learned in our entire life cycle, a 40-year-old professional, they've been working for at least 17, 18 years. Whatever they've learned now, someone with half their age can just go on AI and learn the same skills and apply it better than them. Because let's just be honest, people who are in their 40s and 50s, as compared to people who are much younger, the utilization of AI is very strong in the younger group.
Right.
And no one's getting younger. No one's getting younger here, at least like my age group.
Yeah.
We need to develop skills that can become our unfair advantage. Sure, everyone, I think, really believe we need to work on learning AI better. But apart from that, what is that? What are those skills that are very personal to you that people can't copy? Which is your communication, which is your personality, which is the way you make other people feel. That I don't know if AI will be able to do anytime soon.
The influence
Maybe.
part, I think, and it was really funny that to that point where people felt, well, until 2022, if you asked any engineer or any software engineer, scientist, they would say that my ability to code, my ability to,
I know.
research, that is my mode. And that's the first thing that got replaced by AI. And this is where the whole existential crisis is in the tech is that
Yeah.
I'm actually every day, my job and everybody I know at Amazon, their job is to make agents that do their work easier. So basically, in a way, and I think this is fair also, is our job is to train AIs so that they can do our job. What are you going to do? And I think this is where creative writing, thinking critically, if you can't do that and if you outsource that decision making to AI, then you're in deep trouble. And um, and then talk to me about like some of the things that I think when it comes to communication, people are really afraid of is the hard conversations.
Yeah.
That hard conversation with your boss on why you got a bad rating, why didn't you not get an
Yeah.
increment, why did somebody else get promoted, that hard conversation with the recruiter on negotiating, the hard conversations with your partner, with your wife or your children, and it's a really hard conversation. For example, like in my case, professionally, I think hard conversations is usually a signal to me that something was delayed for too long,
Yeah.
and then it becomes harder and harder. For example,
Right.
it's been months I'm trying to ask my boss for a promotion and I never asked him, and now it's the promotion quarter. Of course, there's a lot of pressure on me to go ask him, and then puts them on the bad line. They're like, wow, oh, I didn't see that coming. And even in personal cases, similar, wherein the hard conversations are usually the most energy draining ones. But I feel in my case, we've been together for 8 years, and my wife clearly tells me that that is the single reason why we're still together. Because the good parts are the good
Have
parts.
conversations.
Yeah, because the good parts are the good parts. Nobody cares about the good parts are easy, right?
Yeah.
And it's when things get hard, when something happens, are you willing to sit down? And in our case, we would sometimes have a 3 hour, 4 hour conversation. We're just sitting. There's no, of course, no phones. We're not outside. It's just the two of us. And of course, there's very strong emotions involved, but we're not leaving that room until we figure it out.
Yeah.
And I feel this is where people are too scared either of having the conversation with themselves or going outside and really saying that you matter to me. You could be a boss, it could be the job, it
Correct.
should be, a personal relationship. How has your experience been in coaching around this, or has this come up in your sessions where people feel that, yeah, this is something I really am terrible at?
Absolutely. All the time. And why do people first fear hard conversation is because hard conversations, they push us to look at our abilities and also things that we are not good at. So we need to see our dark side as well, because someone else is pointing those things and it's not very easy. That reflection becomes very difficult. It's hard. What is a hard conversation? What is a crucial conversation? Crucial conversation involves opposing opinions. It is high stakes and it has high emotions. That's how a crucial conversation is classified. High stakes, high emotions, and opposing opinions, right? Now, the art of having a crucial conversation, there are many steps to be able to have a crucial conversation. We can talk about it all day long. But what I liked what he said was, and this is something that I also like to talk about, is a lot of leaders and a lot of people in their professional or personal lives run away from these hard conversations. Now, that's called the lag time. What makes a conversation from crucial to worse is the lag time. It is how soon you have that conversation. Say, for example, you were talking about your wife. One day something happens that, what's her name?
Elena. Yeah.
Elena.
Yeah.
So, say, for example, one day Elena does something that you didn't like. And you tell yourself, you know what? I don't want to spoil my day. It's okay. I'm going to let it go. It's fine. The next day, something similar happens. Elena does something and then you let it go again. And this keeps happening. Now, what you don't realize is when you're not talking about it, you're slowly building resentment every single day because you don't want to waste time on that argument to solve it. So you just let it go, but your body is building it inside. And then one random day, Elena drops a pin. That's it. Boom.
Right.
And she has no idea. Why did Nikhil get so mad? What did I do? And now you tell her, 1 week ago. No. And she's like, why are you after me? 1 week ago. So there's another concept which is called recent versus right. Flag it, talk about it when it happens. Recent, it happens now. This is exactly how I felt in the moment. Not this is what you did 6 months ago. Even if you're right, the person will be like, why are you after my life?
Yeah.
You're just nagging now.
Right. And it's like a terrible manager job. It's similar to professional settings, right?
Absolutely.
Like if you did something like a bad presentation and you don't get immediate feedback, you think everything's okay. Or it didn't go great, but there's nothing negative that came out. And then it comes out after 6 months and it's too late, right? The feedback is too late in that case.
Yeah, absolutely. So need to have those conversations sooner. Do not delay them. And when you have that conversation, I always tell my students to go inside that conversation with intent. Tell the other person to go in with intent and a lot of heart. Tell the person why are you willing to have that conversation and what exactly do you want out of that conversation. Most of us go into a crucial conversation or a difficult conversation or anything that we'd like to say these days without knowing the end state. if I don't know the end state, how am I supposed to get to that? How am I supposed to lead another person with me? So, well, Nikhil, I really value our friendship. And a couple of things that have been bothering me because I really want us to be friends for life. And that's why I need to say things as they are so that nothing comes in between our friendship. Is it okay if
Right.
I talk to you for a moment?
Right.
If I sat like that, how are you feeling in the moment?
Yeah, absolutely agree that you care for me and you care for
Exactly.
we mutually care for something instead of saying, you did something wrong or I didn't like that. And I think this is where, those conversations, why that they take so long is kind of the cushioning that you need to add because it's a sensitive topic. And, but you also want to make sure that, and I feel that if you genuinely care about that person, it's your responsibility to give them the
Absolutely.
feedback. And you're doing
Absolutely.
actually a disservice. And this is, I think, as a parent, I can now understand it much more. Is as a parent, you're doing a disservice if you're not giving feedback because you're kind of saying that, oh, it's okay, it happens. But in reality, they need to know that this is their fault and they need to improve. And otherwise, somebody else will give that feedback, and that's not going to be nice.
And talking about feedback, since we are talking a lot about feedback here in India, feedback is such a feared word because a lot of people do not know how to give feedback. A lot of people don't know how to receive feedback. And these days, a lot of you know managers who are not trained well, they will go and tell a junior, "I want to give you feedback." And the moment someone says or someone hears the word feedback, their body automatically gets into a defense mode. Automatically, it's fight or flight. Oh my God, what does he want to say? What does he want to say? I don't know. Am I in danger? What does I do? Why? So many questions. Why does it have to be? Because the point is that we have created so much negativity around the word feedback. Now everybody hates it.
Right.
So we have to change the narrative. What is feedback? Feedback. If I don't get feedback, then I will keep messing up every single day. People work with me, they pay me money so that they can get feedback. Imagine feedback is correction, course correction. Hey, I really need feedback because I'm probably going wrong somewhere. But as leaders, can we reframe feedback into a suggestion?
Right.
Can we not say it into a negative, or can we not put a negative connotation into that word? Say,
Right.
I want to suggest you to do it this way because I believe if you do it this way, the output will be absolutely, one.
Right. And not tying it to someone's identity, right? Because that's when you get defensive. Like if I say, Varun, you are wrong, versus this situation happened, and I feel that the way you acted in that situation is wrong. That's such a different message.
Absolutely.
And people, I think this is when they get defensive, and this is when they don't like to get feedback. It's like, you think I'm wrong, or you think I'm not that good. And that like kind of troubles them. Um, and I think the other thing that I was thinking is the words that come out. I think a lot of people think that words are an output. I feel that words are also an input because your narratives, the way you frame situations, not by saying or thinking, yeah, not just by saying, but also by thinking, it influences your experience, which influences as an input. So, have you seen that, like the way you frame things, or the way you say things, or the way you write things, it influences your thinking back? And I think this is where I feel writing is super powerful.
Yeah.
I was surprised when I got to know that journaling is kind of a therapy. It,
Yeah.
it makes sense. It makes sense when you
Yes.
talk to somebody, you feel like it doesn't solve the problem. I think we should not be so stuck up on solving things, but I think
Yeah.
is the experience of it. So when you write something or when you say things, it changes your experience of those things and it helps you think clearly. I think it would happen a lot for you because you have to really critically think in a lot of situations where somebody asks you a question.
Absolutely. And I write a lot. I write down my thoughts, and I also have very cool friends who are doing really cool work. Like one of my friend is he's a handwriting expert, and he taught me this, that he will ask you a question, and this is the question I ask my students. I'm going to ask you the same question. When you have this pen in your hand, Do you write with your pen, right? You write with your hand and pen.
Yeah.
But what he says is that you don't. It's just a medium. You write with your mind. Your mind is moving the pen. Pen is just a medium, right?
Yeah.
So and same with words. So if you have a lot of filler words in your communication, like um basically actually a lot of people talk like that. That's how they are thinking. And it's similar to when you write on a paper and you're scribbling a lot, like you're cutting, you're canceling out things. That means this is how your brain thinks. It's your thinking on paper. Actually, that's why when they say that there's a lot of tangled thoughts inside, you want to clear it, put it on paper. That's why it helps. And a lot of people, they need to get into structured way of communication. And that's exactly what I teach them. Many, many structures, many frameworks, very simple to understand. But the reason I give them frameworks, what is a framework or what is a structure? It's a logical connection of ideas. A lot of people, I ask them this question, tell me something about yourself. And then they say, my name is Varun and I currently live in Delhi NCR. And before that, I was in Chennai and, I teach communication skills. And I've been doing that for some time now and I love my job and I have a cat. So you understand, there's so much information that I have about me that I may want to tell you. But I don't know which parts to now reveal, which parts to hold back. Is it okay to have a structure for that quick introduction? Absolutely, yes.
Right.
And these are the kind of structures I give them. So people have structure is like a backbone, and then you don't deviate too much. It
Right.
brings you back on track.
Could you
I-
give an
with a-
example in professional setting? Like, what does a structure look like? Like, in let's say you're meeting your boss, or let's say you're having a conversation with a recruiter, or you're in an interview. Like
Yeah.
more formal settings. Like, what is a structure? At Amazon, we kind of use situation, task, action, and result. But that's more applicable to interviews, right? If you're asking me, give me an example of time when you.
Tell me something about yourself. Like, there's a
Yeah.
very basic question that I used just now. Tell me something about yourself. To which I give them a very basic structure, which is tell me about your present, what you're doing currently. It's a quick elevator pitch. If someone asks you randomly and you go to a networking event, so many people will ask you, hey, tell me something about yourself. And then what do you say in 30 seconds? Because now you're like all over the place. So structure is that present. My name is Varun Rawal and I'm a communication and influence coach. I help people speak without fear. That's my present.
Yeah.
My past. Previously, I've worked with organizations such as Qatar Airways, Etihad Airways, and Starwood hotels, where I used to train their team members in customer experience and communication skills. And one thing that I really want to achieve out of all this is that I want to work with 1 million people and make them better communicators in every area of their lives. So I call this CPS, present, past, future, and it covers your life. Now, you may not have a vision to work with 1 million people, but if you are a software engineer or a techie, then maybe your vision is to become a CTO of a startup.
Right.
Or to do anything that is your
So it's
vision.
context, right? Like, no, that makes sense. I think I never thought of the future part ever. But that, I think, to me is kind of the most important detail, because if I'm talking to you, I need to understand what do you want or where do you want to head at. So to best drive the conversation. It's super powerful. Talk to me about transitioning to becoming a coach. Like
Correct.
leaving your corporate job, your well-paying job, and starting something from scratch.
Yeah.
What were the emotions and thought processes like during that time? Um, I don't know if you come from an entrepreneur family or from a business family, but when you made that transition, like, what was going through your head? Was like, it could be either I'm financially sorted and I'm trying to figure, next step in life, or is it like, okay, this is not so impactful and I want to impact. So tell me what were your thoughts?
Right. So the journey did not start with an intention of being an entrepreneur or a founder, because I know there are fancy terms these days, but that's not what the intent was. Intent was to teach people something that I'm good at, teach people something that I have also struggled with all my life. And it wasn't easy because I'm the only earning member in my family. And I've been taking care of my parents financially since the age of 18. I'm 38 now, so 20 years. So I am the wrong kind of person to be starting a business and taking a risk because there is no safety net. But I started small. I put myself in situations where I was surrounded by people who were doing the work, and I started in low stakes. But yes, it took a lot of courage. It took a lot of risk, and the risk still exists. It's a new business. Even though I'm training and coaching for many years, I'm doing it as a saleable business only now, very recently. And that's where the capital is put in. That's where the losses are there. That's where you have meta ads, you have performance marketing, you have so much writing, so there's so much going on. And no, I'm not. Yes, my dad is the business owner, but he's a very small business owner. There's, those old school Delhi businesses. He has a shop in Sadar Bazaar in Delhi. That's not entrepreneurship. That's not being a founder. He just did what he found from from my grandfather. That's it. That's it. And I did not learn anything from anyone. I just know that this is something that people need to learn. This is something that I love facilitating. I'm passionate about the subject, and people who are working with me are also part of my journey. That's it. Right. I'm not saying I'm the best out there, but yes, I can make you better.
Right. And when you made that switch from a salary, like, paycheck every month to this, uh, you must have thought that, okay, like how soon can I reach the same number? Like if you, especially if you have dependents on you, in that case, like, and you, I think you had that confidence already because you're part of the work. I mean, your work was actually teaching people, but in corporate settings. And you said, okay, maybe let me roll it outside and I can teach people corporate settings that, I'm not having a fixed job, but, and then you started rolling it out to normal people, like the general public as well, right? So,
Yeah.
as you said, like your Instagram is like a very tiny percentage of the work that you do is mostly those
Not even.
webinars and trainings. Yeah.
Instagram is just to stay relevant. But I was doing this work with Qatar Airways and Etihad Airways. And then I lost my job, came back to India, started working in clinical research, and did pretty well. And from a business head, became a COO in a span of a year and a half. And then understood that education and training and coaching at scale is happening somewhere in Chennai. And I joined this company by the name of Success Dhyan. Yeah, took a salary cut, quit my job, left Bombay, moved to Chennai, did not know the language, did not know anyone to understand how the business worked, and started working with Success Dhyan. Still currently, I'm associated with them in many ways. I do some events for them every now and then. But when I was quitting, yeah, it was scary. I did not know where the money will come from. I only told myself that yes, I have the skills. People trust me, and people want to learn this from me. Even I started one-on-one coaching, so I did not have thousands of people. Of course, I have worked with thousands of people before, lakhs of people before. But when it comes to this business setting, I started one-on-one in India at least. And I said, okay, fine, I'll get a few clients here and there. If I need to send money home or I need to pump in my investments or whatever, I'll break my investments and I'll figure things out. And that's how the journey started.
Crazy. Talk to me about this earning money through coaching. Like, is that a big deal in India? The mindset of India, I think, again, we are very oriented towards return on investment, the ROI concept that, oh, engineering, if you do, this is kind of the package you'll get. And this is where we really even don't go for courses, right? Like, we are very scared of programs and especially vocational stuff. I mean, heavily, unless you're learning something technical, people would be very
Hesitant.
scared, yeah, hesitant, and they're like, what would I get out of this? How would I measure what this really versus a feeling good? I mean, in India, we don't care about feeling good. Like nobody cares if you feel good. So
Yeah.
talk to me about like how.
ROI.
So how did you influence? How were you able to explain to people, or what has been the general trend in India right now that you notice? Are people now being more receptive that they see that, oh, coaching is actually an enabler, it's a multiplier?
Yeah. So there are two sides of it, right? Like, let's talk about first uh, me trying to convince people, or in India, how people are looking at getting coached, because the industry is booming, right? Now there's a coach for everything. But then the job becomes tougher, because now you don't know who's real and who's not. Because if everyone's calling themselves a coach, then what's the trust level here, right?
Right.
Also, two types, where the category I am in, it's not tangible outcome, communication skills. But a lot of people are taking even loans or courses to learn AI, to learn financial modeling, to learn how to invest in stock markets, because they know if I'm able to get it right, my portfolio will jump from these many zeros to these many zeros extra. So you can see the return right there, even though 90% of the people never get it. 95, 98% of the people don't get it. It's optics that 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 help them buy the product, because I'm looking at my bank balance increasing. And but not everyone will have that discipline. Not everybody would actually invest for a long period of time and stay invested, because the coach is teaching whatever, he's teaching the same thing. One person becomes a millionaire, 99 don't.
Yeah.
All right. So investment in these kind of courses is very high. Investment in courses like even manifestation has gone up significantly, according to me, because that's the new buzzword. I'm every other reel on Instagram is about manifestation and affirmations, and that is also really, really. It's not tangible, but people believe in it, so that's happening. Now let's talk about communication skills, because that's a hard sell still, because a lot of people still feel that they can learn communication skills on their own. To which I only ask them one question: is there anything that you do today, right from combing your hair to buttoning your shirt, that you learned on your own? And they say no. Of course, someone taught us. So then how do you think, and how can you think that communication skills is something that I will learn on my own or YouTube? You will not become better at communication skills by looking at videos and reading books. You can only become better by talking. And then I've got case studies in my own community where people have gotten better jobs, promotions, better relationships, better self-esteem. And that's priceless, according to
Right.
them. And there is a reason why every Thursday, every Saturday, I've got people in my community, hundreds of them, coming in for my sessions, attending from all parts of the world, different time zones. Like someone's joining from my sessions sometimes are 8 p.m. Someone's joining from Australia. It's midnight, half past midnight for them. Somebody's joining from Japan, Canada, all parts. Why are they doing this? Because they know the value. And I tell them that if a boy from a Punjabi household, not knowing any English, can stand here in front of thousands of people, make this as my source of income, so can you.
Right.
So that's the thing. And so that is from the listeners and learners perspective. Talking about coach's perspective, see, I mean, I don't know, there has to be a lot of integrity involved, which I don't know, because I don't look at people as competition. If more and more people are doing this work, let's do it. Fine. I know so many more people need it. If tomorrow the kind of content I'm creating is someone who goes and posts it somewhere else, I'd be more than happy. Like, it has happened on my Instagram where I've created some content and some content creator has said, you didn't tag me because it was my idea. Like, sure, how does it matter? I don't know. Like, it
Yeah.
just like I thought it's cool. I researched on it. I took my notes. I made it on my own. Maybe you also spoke about it. But tomorrow, if someone takes my piece of content and creates another reel about it, I won't care. How does it matter? Like, it's a win-win for everybody. It's a big universe out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, that's what's happening right now.
And could you talk about like some of the scaling methods that you use? Because you said like you've grown, like you have listeners and students globally. That's something I think I find it very remarkable that not only were you able to, in a way, your business was able to convince people that this is an important skill, you could scale it at such a method that, you have so many different avenues. Was it just a matter of time, or were there like this could be more like a advice for me and people like me who are trying to set this up at a, in their early years, they're trying to figure out like, oh, this feels like I enjoy doing this, right? A lot of people who are into coaching and they feel that it makes them more accountable. I've seen you working on. I think it again. I think you taught me that term of like earning the right in the respect that if you're telling people to be more self confident, to be working on themselves, you are the number one person in the line who has to be doing that. Uh,
Absolutely.
to me, that is the biggest benefit. Like if I can set up my success, my whole life in that successful way that I'm helping people become successful, and the prerequisite for that is for me to become successful in my own metrics that I measure. That's
Yeah.
incredible. So once you figure that out, okay, this is good. You're okay. Like, how did you go about scaling this up? Was it a team that you think was a main part? Was it like performance marketing and these tools and just churning out to a lot of agencies? How did you figure that out?
Absolutely. It's all about the team. So all about uh, a good message in terms of the ads that will attract people at the front end to even come and attend my basic program where they see me for the first time. But for them to even come in there, ad copy has to be written in such a convincing way that it targets those people with specific keywords that will make them make that first purchase of 100 rupees or 99 rupees. And when they come in, and then it's my responsibility to make sure that they are hooked. And
Right.
again, out of 100, only probably, or out of anything, only 8%, 9% maximum on a good day, 10% will move to the next level,
Right.
right? And then in the next level, the point being, what I really believe is a game changer is that at every level that I have, there is value. Yes,
Mhm.
see, it's a funnel, right? It's a funnel system where one level leads to another level, leads to another level, and people are smart enough to understand that. People are not stupid. People understand that if I'm attending this program at just 99 rupees, there has to be an upsell. There will be an upsell, but they know, let me first see if I get value here. So that's my objective. I made sure that I created my webinar in such a way that even if you don't want to go ahead, at least you have some value here for 2 hours, right?
Right.
And
That's
I tell my
incredible.
students very
Like
clearly,
99 rupees. that's that's already like a bargain price you're already giving them for.
yeah, and most coaches in India are doing a similar model, sometimes even free for that matter, because they want to sell a high ticket item later. But the point is, are you able to gain the trust of your audience? And if you are bringing them to a next 3 day seminar or whatever, are you delivering what you're promising? Because if you don't, then they will never trust you again. Then your integrity is in question. So I always say this to people: yes, consider it to be a business. Great, make money. But please never forget that you're working with people who are trusting you with their time, energy, and money. Do not cheat them.
Right.
That's my only request to anybody who's starting this
Yeah.
kind of a business. And and then again, not everybody works with me when they, because again, most don't, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Most don't, because they think they can just do it. And then what happens most times, a lot of people come back saying that I wasted 5 months. Can I sign up for the program?
Right.
Because when they go out in their lives, nobody's giving them feedback. Nobody's telling them, pushing them to create videos, to record videos. Nobody's asking them, hey, are you able to use that framework? Come on, what is the challenge this week you face in your communication skills? Let's talk about it. Let's help. So they are missing that community. In MindSpeak, I've also created a community of people who help each other out,
Yeah.
who do mock interview practices with each other. And they are global, they're everywhere. I was
Right.
in London I told you, right? When I was in London,
Yeah.
I met my students there. So my community meetup happened there as well. And it's just, I'm very proud of the fact that it's not about the business side of it. Yes, that's still building. I feel like I'm nowhere close to where I want to be, but it's a start. But the people that have come together, I feel that is the biggest achievement.
You think
Like
that is you think that is something that will hold for next 10, 15 years? Let's say you're able to increase or build more of the community. Is that the most rewarding, apart from, like, let's say, yes, money and business, you need that to thrive, but what is success looking like to you in this business, and kind of in your next 10, 15 years, what does success look like to you?
so, this has evolved. I never thought like that when I started MindSpeak. I started MindSpeak by just writing MindSpeak on my iPad.
Yeah.
What should I name my company? MindSpeak. Okay, cool. Let's do this. But the way now people have started using the word MindSpeak. Oh, I'm learning this at MindSpeak. At MindSpeak, na 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 na. I look at my own this name and I look at, is MindSpeak going to become a brand? Could it become a brand that people associate with when it comes to anything and everything with respect to their communication needs? So my next 10 to 15 years look like not continuing always this model of what I'm doing, because then that's like feeding money into Meta all the time and then expecting magic to happen. Of course, there's a lot of skill involved, but there's a lot of risk involved as well. Though this will continue, I don't know how this gets evolved based on algorithm and tools. But what I want to do is I want MindSpeak to become a one-stop shop in India for people for all their communication needs. Currently, I don't work with people who come to me for improving their English grammar because I do not know how to teach English grammar. And I want to hire people for that. I want to hire teachers for that, so that anyone who comes to MindSpeak does not go back saying that I can't get grammar here, maybe I will go somewhere else. So I want them to come here, work on their grammar, in parallel, work on their body language, first impressions, public speaking, such a big side of what we do here. What I personally love to train people on. And a lot of corporate gigs, a lot of corporate sessions. So this is what my vision for MindSpeak is in the next time, to be to be one of the premium, or rather the only destination that people have in their mind when it comes to learning and becoming better at communication skills. And it says it's scary to say this when I say all these things, but why not? Like why the heck not?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, that sounds good. And talk to me about, like, what have you learned from building this community? I think this is such a special part that you're doing, where like, there's a business side, but there's also this community where people. I was just reading this fact that in this book is called The Art of Community. I've read it a long time before, and now I'm rereading it. It talks about groups and memberships are where people are having a common interest, a common agenda, but they don't necessarily care about each other's well-being. A community is very different. A community is where a person cares about the other person's well-being and their improvements and their enhancement. And it's really hard to form a community versus a membership. A membership being like, you like Manchester United, or you're a big fan of this football club or this cricket club, or you're a fan of Virat Kohli. That's a membership. You don't really care about the other fan, right? You all care about this one guy or one idea.
It's a shared, yeah, it's an outside goal or an individual,
Right.
but community is all about each other.
How do you go
the
about
other
building
person?
that?
Yeah.
That's, I find, is incredible. That's I think my personal goal is to build a community of people who are like-minded, like, who want to push themselves financially, career-wise, personally, and, like, the personal development stuff. But how would you? What have your learnings been, or what did you find as the most easy way? Or, I mean, I don't think there's an easy way to build a strong community. But
Yeah.
what have been your experiences with this?
See, my community also works along with membership, right? Like people come into the program and then they have a certain period. And after that, well, some of them stay, some of them leave. But the idea of a community is that people are connected, even though there is no WhatsApp group, doesn't matter. But they are connected. They have become best of friends. And in all honesty, I don't know how it happened. I cannot tell you. There's no playbook. I did not read a book. I started a cohort where people started coming month on month. They got introduced. I introduced them, and they started working together. They started giving each other feedback. They started automatically deciding, oh, you can become my accountability partner, because I initially, what I do is, if I have someone who's struggling, then I say, hey, is there anyone who'd like to help her? Outside the sessions, you guys can plan your own quick Zoom call and practice. So 5 people would raise the hand. So there is an intent to help a stranger. And in those calls, one thing led to another. So I also do public speaking Wednesdays. That's my version of Toastmasters. So they all come together and they speak impromptu on topics. And then I do, for me, reading is so important. And I believe that that's becoming a lost thing for a lot of people. People don't read anymore. So I really had this dream of starting a book club, which I did. So every Sunday at 11 a.m., my community, and I have a community manager who manages everybody. I've trained her. And Sunday, 11 a.m., we have reading music, 30, 40 minutes. People come together with their own books. They read together. And after that, if anyone wants to talk about the lessons they learned from that book, they talk about it. Some people read personal development stuff. Some people read fiction. Doesn't matter, as long as you're reading. And so I believe uh, giving so much of value to people, and at the same time, with that value, people finding better shifts in the way they communicate, in the way people are perceiving them. And every Thursday, every Saturday, I start the session by asking them, what have your wins been for the week?
Right.
How have you been applying these skills that I teach you every single day? They share, and then everybody feels like, oh, I need to do this as well. I need to talk about this as well. So it's a community with a shared goal.
Right.
No one laughs at each other. There is no senior, there is no junior. There could be a vice president. I have people from all levels, different corporates. But in this group, they're all equals,
That's incredible.
right?
How do you feel about all this? Like, what an 18-year-old Varun would think? Do you think he would be proud? Do you think, not in terms of proud, in terms of the scale of things you've done, who you've become through this
Okay.
journey? I think this earning the right to be a coach, right? This is like you're pushing you're pushing yourself so hard.
Yeah.
Do you think you think that an 18-year-old yourself would be really proud?
Well, proud is a very small word. I would, yeah, delighted, proud, whatever I can say. But yeah, I couldn't even dream this big. Forget about being proud. This is a dream every single time. And I am just grateful, and I feel very privileged that I have this opportunity to have trust of so many people. It's very difficult to sell a product to someone, that to a virtual product, that to somewhere where they have to put in the work. So imagine the amount of responsibility. I feel I have a very big responsibility towards people. And that's how I like to live my life. So I barely touch alcohol anymore. I don't drink. And I come from a hotel school. So
Yeah.
we learned, wines and education spirit, wines and spirits education across WSET level 1, level 2, level 3.
Yeah.
Like, alcohol was such an important part of the work. And I enjoy my drinks every now and then, but I don't anymore, because I know tomorrow morning I have to wake up and deliver a session. For that, I need to prepare. For that, I need to think clearly, because preparation is everything in my work.
Right.
Because if I don't deliver a session properly, then like, people will not be able to get the lesson out of it.
Right.
And they are coming in with a lot of trust and faith and hope. So sometimes responsibility, right?
That sounds like a
Madness. This
Yeah,
quote, right, comes in, right?
that sounds like a great mix, to have a great life. It's like you have a high responsibility job, you're having impact, and you're making money. I think those three mixed kind of, have a very is a great recipe for having a successful life. Thank you so much, Varun. Where can people find you? Where can people follow your journey?
Well, my Instagram page goes by MindSpeak by Varun. So that's one place people can connect with me, and then another one is Varun Rawal. That's my full name on LinkedIn. That's pretty much it. So these are the two places, and yeah, that's it.
Thank you so much, Varun. I definitely learned so much. Thank you so much for listening into today's conversation. If you found this or the past conversations helpful, please do share, comment, and subscribe. These guests are from my own personal network, so I would really encourage you to subscribe because that helps support the channel.